Keir Starmer has long positioned himself as the adult in the immigration rule, sober, legalistic, and allergic to gimmickry. But his trip to Albania and the unveiling of the return hubs, as well as his immigration nonsense the other day, raised the awkward possibility that he's simply reskinning the very policies he once derided and rightly derided. If Rwanda was a pantomime, this is more of, I don't know, a fairly badly written opera, just as improbable, but sung in a minor key of legalese and desperation. Starmer scrapped the Conservatives' Rwanda scheme, he said, with theatrical finality, but he hasn't repealed the law. He's branded it a gimmick, and rightly so, but now, in what can only be described as a mutation rather than a departure, he proposes return hubs in the Western Balkans in a not dissimilar form. These would serve as holding centres for failed asylum centres after their claims are exhausted in the UK. So where exactly are they going to go after the UK? Now, that's what's not clear. The initial plan seemed to be that they would be some sort of holding centre for people who were awaiting judgment. Now it's for people who have had judgment and are in a sort of limbo. This is nonsense. Unlike Rwanda, these plans claim a fig leaf of legality endorsed by the UNHCR and clothed in international jargon. But I think that endorsement was for a slightly different version of the plan. And this wardrobe change is and this slight shift in substance, it's not good enough. It's smoke and mirrors. If it walks like offshoring and talks like deterrence, it is a moral outsourcing of the kind Labour once derided. And the centrepiece of this diplomatic performance was Starmer's trip to Albania, a nation Starmer has lauded as a potential partner, and rightly so. Yet his hopes were publicly and unequivocally dashed by Edi Rama, the Albanian Prime Minister, who's got significant experience, and he treated the proposal with the kind of frost usually reserved for a rejected Eurovision entry. Rama likened Albania's cooperation with Italy to a marriage, one with history, geography, and diplomacy, and Britain, by contrast, was left holding a wilted bouquet, and Rama's refusal was emphatic. Albania will not be the UK's holding pen for failed claimants. It will not be dragged into Britain's migration psychodrama. Undeterred, the UK has pivoted towards talks with other Western Balkan states, Serbia, Bosnia, North Macedonia, but there are three fatal flaws. Firstly, the legal challenges abound. Italy's attempt to process migrants in Albania has already cost €600 million and resulted in just 40 actual transfers, and must now be admired in appeals. Secondly, this is no deterrent. People fleeing war, persecution, or economic collapse are not watching press conferences in Tirana. The notion that an obscure hub in Serbia or Bosnia will stop small boats crossing is absurd. This is the same deterrence fantasy that dogged Priti Patel and Suella Braverman. And dogging isn't the sort of thing that is going to get people to pause and go elsewhere. It's not a deterrent. And the third point is the cost. Britain will foot the bill for every failed asylum seeker relocated abroad, and that replicates the financial logic that doomed the Rwanda plan if the morality alone wasn't enough to cry foul. Starmer once called the Tory scheme wasteful. He may soon find himself hoisted on his own cost-benefit petard. So why is Starmer doing this? The answer lies in last week's local election result, and Labour's electoral gains were dimmed by Reform UK's imminent surge, and Reform offered a clear, if crude, message: stop the boat, stop the migrants. It didn't say how. It just continues beating on the same drum. Labour, rattled, is now contorting itself into a sort of tough on migration posture once monopolised by the right. You can't out reform. and the raft of new measures, banning care visa routes, stripping citizenship rights after 5 years, forcing universities to pay for overseas students, curtailing student work and post-study periods, reintroducing a degree requirement for skilled migrants. These proposals amount to an immigration clampdown disguised as a sensible reform. But like all reactive politics, they bear the hallmarks of haste and incoherence. There is one simple word for all this, and that is stupidity. There's an elephant, or rather a dinghy, in the room. Labour has yet to unveil a meaningful policy to stop the so-called illegal channel crossings. Well, no, they are illegal crossings. It's just that under the 1951 Refugee Convention, coming to a country by an illegal route doesn't automatically make the applicant an illegal applicant. It does under Suella Braverman's Illegal Migration, Nationality and Borders Acts, but those acts are out of sync with international law. And the return hub plan doesn't address the problem of those who would arrive spontaneously. The government has no planned returns agreement with the EU. It offers no solution to the legal entanglements posed by the European Court of Human Rights. It doesn't sort out the huge cost of keeping people in legal limbo in expensive hotels. There are two solutions here. One is to hold an international conference and redefine the terms on which refugees can be processed. And two would be to produce a sort of pink or turquoise card system whereby those asylum seekers who come to the UK can be effectively launched into the British economy, pay tax, and demonstrate their commitment to our system. And if they can't demonstrate that, then, and if they don't have a good reason for not doing, for failing to do so, then that is another reason to deport them. It's a win-win situation. We have people paying tax, we have people paying for their own accommodation, and we have people demonstrating whether or not they want to be part of our country. If Starmer, and by the way, there's plenty of evidence that system works. It's a system which is which I know is functioning in Greece, and it functions in other European countries as well, and it functions relatively well. But keeping people locked up in hotels breeds resentment, and it panders to the worst instincts of the Home Office, indolence and indifference. If Starmer truly wants to reduce illegal migration, he needs to confront these structural problems. He needs drones over Montenegro and polite diplomacy with Tirana. He needs to recognise that that is peripheral. Even if Starmer's plan is legal, and that's a big if, it doesn't follow that it's moral. Outsourcing failed claimants to foreign camps risks replicating all the inhumanity of the Rwanda model: indefinite detention, alienation, and an abdication of British responsibility. As Enver Solomon of the Refugee Council rightly observes, deterrence by fear rarely works. Humane, orderly returns within the UK system are more effective and far less expensive. And Starmer claims to reject megaphone diplomacy, and yet he's engaged in the quiet shouting of desperation. His plan reeks of political panic rather than strategic foresight. Excellent for him to visit Albania, excellent for him to make personal contact with Edi Rama, but this is the wrong message and the wrong conversation that he's having. In trying to show that Labour can be tough, he is walking perilously close to the authoritarianism of Suella Braverman that he once condemned. This is not pragmatism, it's performance, and like all theatre, it depends on the audience believing the illusion. This illusion doesn't work. Keir Starmer may not be rebuilding Rwanda 2.0, but he's certainly sketching the blueprints on Balkan stationery, and it doesn't wash.